as home became metaphor. Comedian Sebastian Maniscalco, in a show about the inconveniences of daily life, describes his experience shopping at Ross, dressed for less. He says, "I walked into Ross, I thought I walked into downtown Beirut." The expression "on se croirait à Beirut" in French-speaking countries and "looks like Beirut" in English-speaking ones moved into everyday language shortly after the end of the Lebanese Civil War. Considering the visual inventory the world was served every time Beirut was mentioned between 1975 and 1990, it's almost courteous the world waited until the mid-90s to repurpose the capital's name. The bomb-crippled buildings, the blood-stained rubble, the mother walks into her 12-year-old boy's bedroom in suburban Toulouse and goes, "Eric, on se croirait à Beirut." Eric, we would think we're in Beirut. The borrowing is justifiable. We never knew, however. No Lebanese mother walked into her child's room exclaiming, "This looks like Beirut." We lived in Beirut. In the wake of the war, unbeknownst to us, our city was becoming a metaphor. A chasm painting the Lebanese as children shielded from adult truth. Growing up in a warped, approximate reality, no one told us our city had earned a reputation. We assumed people knew Beirut had changed. The first time I shared I had grown up in Beirut, I had just moved to Paris to start college. 16 years had passed since the end of the war, yet conversation undertones assumed the war was still roaring. No, the war ended in 1990. I was 2, I barely remember. My parents hid in the basement, under the stairs. Neighbors grew closer, things are better now. Beirut is a lively city. We have some of the best clubs. I grew up partying. It's so fun at night, yes. I drink alcohol. Yes, I'm Christian. Well, I grew up Christian. Yes, Christians and Muslims live in different areas. I wouldn't say there are tensions today. The new generation is toppling the old ways. Beirut is not a warfield anymore. The white helmeted reporter who ducked in front of millions of Western eyes while a bomb fell on Ashrafiyya, Beirut's chic neighborhood, in the background did a great job incinerating whatever pride or dignity the Middle East inspired prior to his footage. Beirut might not be a warfield anymore, but in the minds and tongues of a global generation, it remains the bombed capital of chaos. We were born in a metaphor, a reality in inconsequential conception, a minority vote in a global poll. My Beirut buried in the imaginary rubble the world covered us in. But Beirut was never only a warfield. In the rubble, there is a Beirut laughing at the jokes of my uncle, his Armenian friend who grabs his dog by the jowls, places its face next to his and asks, "Johnny, who's prettier, me or the dog?" My uncle never shares his answer. He laughs and Beirut laughs too. She might not have understood the joke. She might not have heard all the words, but she feels Johnny's cackling jaw. She reads the memory in the black of his eyes. Beirut is more than a warfield. Near the debris, there is a subversive Beirut whose every word and action spells rebellion. In this incarnation, she is called Bassem Faghali, cross-dressing, drag queening, high-heeling his way to mainstream Arab television in 1996, calling it comedy, teaching a generation of gender benders how to both wear and smuggle their identity in broad daylight. Beirut may also be a warfield. Under the crumbled building near the collapsing staircase, there is a grieving Beirut whose mourning is elongated like the necks of the Kayan Lawi women, only instead of brass coil rings, a long necklace of skulls passed down by the mothers who raised her. The widow, herself a mother of 2, shall not remarry. And so, widowing Beirut wears black, walks in procession, look out the window at 4 p.m. on any weekday in Beirut onto the crooked streets of the Muslim bus stop and the Christian Sufi neighborhoods. You'll see Beirut's widows, a black leather bag on the left shoulder, one plastic grocery bag in the right hand, one because the kids aren't visiting today or tomorrow. She's only cooking a meal for one. In the shadows of decimated buildings, there is a wild Beirut, dancing at 1 a.m. and heading to the after party at 4, BO18, a coffin-shaped club that opens its lids, inviting out the ghosts of Palestinian refugees bulldozed by Christian militias on the ground it was built, a club meant to remember the killing, butchering, shoveling of Arabs by Arabs. In the crevices of the Sind Bop beat, find a seat, and listen to the wailing of Beirut, the screams of every Palestinian, Lebanese, Syrian, Israeli mother, the arresting memory of Karantina, Damour, Tal al-Za'atar, Sabra, Shatila, Beirut, Beirut, Beirut.